Hello and welcome to Gamers 8 and welcome to our fifth and final title of our event, PUBG Mobile. My name is Banks and I am your host and I am joined on the main stage by my co-host, Fancy.
حياكم الله من جديد اعزائنا المشاهدين والحضور في البطوله الاخيره معنا في حدث جيمرز 8 معنا في المملكه العربيه السعوديه في الرياض، واخر تايتل راح يكون معنا ان شاء الله راح يكون PUBG موبايل، وهالمره ما هو بس PUBG موبايل، لا PUBG موبايل الورلد انفيتيشنال راح تكون اول ايامها اليوم باذن الله.
Yes, the PUBG Mobile World Invitational will be held across the next 2 weeks. And this week we're going to have our main tournament and then next week we have something very special for you at home that we're calling the After Party Showdown.
راح نشوف ان شاء الله اليوم اول ايام PUBG موبايل وورلد انفيتيشنال، راح تستمر معنا خلال الثلاث ايام القادمه، لكن الاسبوع القادم باذن الله راح يكون عندنا شيء مميز وشيء مختلف عن PUBG موبايل وورلد انفيتيشنال، وراح يكون الافتر بارتي شو داون بنشهده مع بعض ان شاء الله هنا في نفس المسرح.
Yes, across the next 2 weeks we have a total of $3 million worth of prize money.
Got the players here, finally able to play in an offline event, so I'm really hyped to see how things are going to pan out.
Yeah, exciting. I think ultimately there's some different dynamics coming into this tournament as well to figure out how all these teams are going to stack up against.
Prepare for this.
Teams are going to feel the squeeze on both drops as well as those rotations, which is very important to kind of break down here as the tournament goes on. I think ultimately, though, it's going to test a lot of the teams' potential for adapting to other teams around them here as they continue on the tournament.
And we've kind of been like theorizing what could happen, and typically when you look towards the very late game, if you have a squad, a full squad up, you're most likely going to win the match, right? But we're not really expecting many squads to ever have 4 players left alive when we get to the very end.
Yeah.
There's a potential of that. I mean, you could potentially lose people on rotation. You could actually have more infighting in certain compounds, etc. Splits are going to be harder to execute as well because you're just going to have a few more people in the vicinity looking at you as you're even trying to transition to some of those compounds. So it's going to be very exciting to see how
also your total eliminations, and then you have another award which is Eagle Eye, which does the average of your top 2 longest shots in the game registered that gets a knock or an elimination. So 2 new awards are pretty intriguing here.
I like that it takes into account 2 long eliminations as well, because ultimately there are moments where somebody's like firing far into the distance, and you know they might get themselves a few lucky shots here and there, but it's going to reward some consistency in those kind of long fights with your DMRs, etc.
I'm a little sad to not see like a roadkill specialist or something like that, because we had Salazar, you know, thinking back to PMWI. I mean, he'd pretty give him the money now, right? If you think back to it. You see, of course, all the social medias you guys can check us out on. Make sure you guys keep this in mind as well, because later on I'll tell you some ways you guys can actually earn some prizes at home. But it's going to be an extremely exciting event, and I really can't wait to see what's going to happen. We'll be getting into the teams in just a few minutes here, but let's learn a little bit more about the teams, though, before we do dive into talking about them all.
Give it your everything, it ain't no holding back. Time to be the one, best squad, that's a fact. Nobody can stop me when I get in my zone. Take it higher, go from unknown to world known. On another level, competition is in trouble. Putting numbers on the board and it's about to double. We can never fold, we can never break. To be the greatest, we will do whatever it takes.
Man, if this doesn't get you guys hyped for what's going to be coming up in these next 2 weeks, I don't know what will. Fantastic song, and as well as some fantastic teams going to be participating here in these 2 weeks. But guys, let's take a look at our schedule, right? Let's get an idea of what's going to be happening today, what maps we'll be going to, and of course, in what order. And man, I'm happy to not see us ending up on Sandhawk.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it before anyone else does.
Just had to get rid of it right away. I'm sad we're not seeing Vikendi at all, but hey. The after party,
you'll get a little bit.
We'll get a little snippet of it, but you know it's going to be interesting. 3 Wrangles are going to be also having your 2 Miramars, 1 Sanhok. Unfortunately for Nigma Galaxy and TJB, not as much love they can do, but they can try and get a few points here.
I like that Erengel's the full focus.
All right, we're going to head over to James Yang, the director of PUBG Mobile Esports, here on the stage.
I would like to say personally how incredible it is to talk to you all in person. It's too far long, as we all know. I'm here today to share the all know. I'm here today to share the biggest stage. And it's not all yet. I know. I'm here today to share the PUBG Mobile regional crash beginning next month. The PMRC is focusing on Phoenix region. Oh no. I'm here today to share the Oh no. I'm here today to share the Oh no. I'm here today to share the I'm here today to share the
देख्न पाइन्छ भनेर पनि धेरै ऑडियन्सहरु पनि इन्ट्रेस्टेड हुन त आफूले पनि विटनेस त गरेको छैन अहिलेसम्म त्यो कुरा त्यो हेर्न म पनि एकदमै इन्ट्रेस्टेड छु स्टार्टिङमा त जुन देखाइएको थियो झिलिमिली चारैतिर बत्ती बलेर आमामा तलक तलक टल्किदै देखिएको थियो मेबी त्यही नै स्टेज रहेको थियो प्लेयर्सहरु बस्ने ठाउँ हेर्न त यसरी रमाइलो हुन्छ तर फर्स्ट क्वेशन तपाईलाई मेरो तर्फबाट कि होल इन्भिटेसन गेस्टमा तपाईले सपोर्ट गर्ने टिमको लागि त नेपाली टिम छैन
अब आफ्नो टिम छैन अब यस्तो हो जली चिकन डिनर हान्छ त्यो हाम्रो सपोर्टमा हुन्छ जस्ट लाइक हुन्छ नि चुनावमा हामीले अलिकता गरिन्छ नि यसले जित्यो भने यही हाम्रो अथवा उसले जित्यो भने उही हाम्रो त्यस्तै त्यस्तै हामी यहाँ पनि त्यही तरिकाले अप्रोच गर्छौँ बट स्टलवर्डसँग अलिकता बढी मन जानेछ कि छिमेकी देश भारतको टिम सोल रहेको छ त्यसको बारेमा पनि सायद हामी कुरा गर्न सकिन्छ होला
कॉपीराइट लग जाएगी मत करो अरे कोई बात नहीं हटा देंगे
कुरा गरिन्छ स्टलवर्डको बारेमा चाहिँ अलिकता एक्सपेक्टेसन रह्यो
हटा देंगे कौन सा रखना
है चैनल पे। And I think if you're able to kind of control the circles, even flex out and push people out of circles as well and hold them as a barrier, I think that's a good style to come into this kind of tournament in where you have to be assessing more threats than usual, given the 16 to 18 team lobby that we're going to see here.
Okay, well, I mean, a team I want to bring up that I'm surprised you guys haven't mentioned yet. I'm not sure which one of you chose. Digba Galaxy representing Arabia. This team, third place at PMGC.
Let's go spam India. India ka flag spam ho jana chahiye.
I think having the most chicken dinners in a PMPL across the world.
Spam karte jao. India ka flag spam karte jao.
One of the favorites.
Yeah, and in a very similar grain to Stalwart, they are a team that has stuck together for, I think,
Let's go India.
days now. The roster has stuck together, never changed, which is very impressive to see. And also they're playing locally, right? They are a local team. They won PMP Arabia in the spring season. A little bit too close on the fall season.
अच्छा फिर ठीक और बताओ कैसे बढ़िया 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 इंडिया ओपी कर दो इंडिया ओपी
We'll see if the offline buff is going to really work out for them.
the region has strong teams for sure. Enigma Galaxy has to be one of them. I think one thing that goes against them a little bit is that we only have one Sandhawk per day. They are decent there. They're playing the averages, is fair to say, when it comes to a game, a battleground like Sandhawk. But beyond that as well, we've been kind of covering them. They've continued that throughout the months. So impressive stuff from them continuing into this tournament.
इंडिया की हिंदी कमेंट्री ऐसे कैसे नहीं होगी इंडिया की कमेंट्री ना हो इंडिया जाए और इंडिया की कमेंट्री ना हो ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है
go into this event was they did either really bad in the league stage and then they did well in the finals, they did well in the league stage and they did well in the finals, they carried it over. But a lot of the teams struggled when it came to those regional playoffs, right? Those regional championships. A lot of teams just weren't really able to live up to what they did in their own region. And when you're playing at an international event at a global scale like this, I'm kind of worried for those teams.
Yeah, and I think that's the lack of international experience that a lot of these teams have, unfortunately, heading into this. So this first day is going to be rough for some of these squads, right? They're going to have to deal with it the hard way. It's going to be like trial and error for a lot of these guys, seeing how the drop goes, how the rotation goes, and I think that after this first day, after the first game of each map, things will start to settle in a little bit more, but it is a lot of unknown heading into now.
It's definitely a feel-out day, right? Yeah. That's fair to say. We have seen these guys have a few test games here and there to try and feel out the drops, as you're saying. But even as we've studied these teams' drops, where they're going, sometimes in their own regions, they've had their preferred drop, but then had to move away. Here, we're going to see some of that again. We're going to see teams like, I mean, Regam, I can't even do it.
Gaming.
I can't hear myself. Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, we can.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, for example, their Yasnaya split that they were doing with 2 and south of Kameshki, as well as Yasnaya. You have to tighten that up in this kind of lobby here because there's more threats actually looming on the edges of your drop. So even from the word go in these games, you got to be very, very careful about how you're feeling at the other teams.
I mean, for teams who haven't played on a national level, like
let's go.
I know we talked about this actually. They've not really played a LAN. They've not really played a global event. I mean, you're kind of hitting two big things all in one. Like, realistically, what can you expect from a team like this? I mean, obviously, Brazil has high hopes for them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's all about the preparation going into the event, you know, your scrims. And I also know that a lot of teams have picked up a coach pretty much last minute, but that can have a pretty drastic impact on your team and how you approach and visualize the game, right? I think that can have a pretty big impact. Like talking about Vivo Keed, they qualified above teams like Influence Rage, Alpha 7, which is even Loops, which is very, very impressive. So I've had the chance to cast them a little bit over in the Western tournaments and like Americas. I think they have the chops to do well on an international event.
I think watch party रोकनी पड़ेगी because of the strike issues.
I think there's a chance that Vivo Keed could be like a dark horse almost heading into this.
Okay, actually, Claris, do you have a dark horse that you're looking at?
I mean, it's kind of up and down. I guess I would have to pick a team like Morph. They come from a great region. I did expect other teams to qualify from that region, like RRQ, for example. But they showed that they're able to hang with the top teams there. So maybe they can make something happen in this lobby, even though I'm favoring the big dogs overall.
Okay, yeah. And considering, again, we have 18 matches, right? And you're talking about like getting accustomed to the lobbies, you don't have time. And we have actually seen, like you mentioned before, a lot of coaches come in, a lot of really well-known coaches, some maybe on Nova X Quest F, the ones who have been able to take home PMWI. Like, how much can a coach realistically offer you when you only had, I guess, maybe a little bit of lead up into the event, but you only have 3 days of play? It's really hard to make drastic changes to how the lobbies play out. I
mean, in terms of gameplay, of course, you've got a lot of research and work that's been done in the background. I think it's mostly getting the players and the teams in the mentality, because a lot of the coaches that have been picked up by these teams have that LAN experience. They know how it works out. They know how the teams adapt to it. And I think just telling them how it's going to happen and how it's going to go down is really good for the mental state. Like, they seem more prepared heading into this.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be getting into our first match shortly here, but I want to give a shout out here to Sony with the Play to Win with Xperia 1 IV, created in collaboration with professional esports players, so you know it's going to be good. The Sony's Xperia is the official smartphone provider and partner here of PUBG Mobile. And as you saw before on the schedule, we do have Erangel coming up here in just a few moments to kick things off for this event. High fives going out, at least air high fives as well here. But it's time to bring in our commentators. Maybe have a little chat with them before the match kicks off here. We got John, Allen, and Blank joining me here on the desk. Gentlemen, this is going to be crazy. It's going to be exciting. Maybe you have some teams you want to point out. I'll leave the floor open to you.
Thank you very much, Jason. Yeah, we're going to be getting into this first game. Blank, there's a lot of teams here with a lot on the
line.
There is, yeah. And Jason was asking, you know, is there any other teams that maybe we're looking at? I think there's one team that maybe the guys on the desk haven't mentioned yet that I'd love to talk about, and that is actually Vampire Esports. I do think that this team currently looks extremely good as a team overall. You know, they've been through a lot of different iterations of Victim Sovers at the start of the year into Victim 365, then Ion Esports in their qualifier for the Spring 22 finals. And now finally coming through, you know, now as Vampire Esports. So, oh no, they were Power Triple 8 right at the beginning. Sorry, that's Morph GG I'm talking about. But they've gone through a lot of iterations. They have now Corpai on the team, who used to be on Power Triple 8 when they had some of their better games. He's coaching, so they're talking about coaching on the desk as well. This could be a great position for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be looking pretty strong for them right now. Everyone loading up into the game. I think we got the plane path of the first game maybe loading on up here. Blank as well. You can see the players in the lobby. Look at that. They're running around. They're trying to get everything sorted. Those furtive glances over the shoulder there. Something going on.
Yeah, no. Just trying to get people into the match. And already we are having things kicked off here in the PMWI, this regional clash between so many different players from so many different countries here. It's great to see the representation. There's no problems either because everyone's playing here at LAN.
Game number 1 loading on up. Erangel as we kick things off here. Players loading on. The plane path moving over as it fades into the map. Loading on up. Match number 1. It all starts now. The helicopters flank the plane.
Helicopters coming out of this one next to plane here. We are having our plane path already. We did get a little quick sneak peek at this plane path at the beginning of the game, heading just under Novo up towards Gatka. Now this is a fantastic little drop spot already for Stalwart. I'd imagine they're going to be dropping out the plane here, but it's Aton jumping out almost immediately, heading up possibly towards Mill to Power. That's a drop spot that they've been loving recently. Rozok, on the other hand, quite inaccessible, and that was going to be quite the big hot drop for a lot of teams like Donuts heading up there, a few other teams on that location with Damwon and Kia just underneath them in School and Apps, but you can see that Stalwart already immediately in Nova Repnoya. Sometimes they will head towards North Sosnovka.
Island, those northern crossings may be a little bit more populated, do you think, after those bridges with this plane path as south as it is? Some teams will try and migrate north, sure, but that traffic jam will certainly have an impact.
Yeah, you're just trying to cover as much of the map as possible. You know, James, Max, Jason on the desk, all talking about this beforehand, saying that, you know, there is going to be a lot of space on the map that you're going to have to cover. Not so many scouting positions now can be taken for these teams, just in the early game at least, just in case you get caught off guard by a team that's in the vicinity that you maybe wouldn't think would be there before. Though we do have Vampire Esports, they are doing their usual drop down towards Ferry Pier, Quarry and Primorse, really taking things wide at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, a little bit of a late dropout, sure, but it was fairly close by to the plane path, right? So they will have plenty of time to be able to navigate and get things sorted for themselves moving forwards on their northerly movements that will have to come through as the circle pops. It looks like Falcon already in competition with Morph. The top of the hill currently occupied by Morph.
Yeah, it's going to be quite difficult here for Morph to actually... well, it's very easy for Morph to pick up on this one because Falcon's drop is a little bit further up towards Yaz, honestly. So Morph drop out early, get the catch on Falcons. Already taken one player from alone down here. Does get Rez back up into the fight, though. So not quite elimination coming through just yet. But Donuts USG actually currently have 2 points already.
Yeah, they're starting to pop off. I mean, looks like they've managed to find themselves a little bit of a spot. Falcons, as we were talking about, rezzed up in a little bit of cover. Presence known, though, between those two teams on that split area. Never alone. Has his team. Yep. Seems to play to the name. But look at this. You've got Box Gaming with some trouble.
Yeah, Bucks dropping right on the coastal side, and it's VGS trying to pass by them in vehicles. Now, VGS have 2 spots. It's up towards Severny as their secondary, Lipovka as their primary. Not able to get to any of them. So this is so awkward, but this is now time for Bucks to try and show some dominance. They regrouped around Break and Soaz after their decent PMGC. I think it was World League. Now they really need to show their stuff here after losing a couple of players and reforming.
Nearly perfect nade there coming through from Break, but doesn't quite get the knock. They will have got that hit marker, that indication that there's a player close. They know there's a vehicle moved. Well, they still know that there's a player this close. Mini 14 with the 4X on the off angle for VGS. Should be pretty solid at holding down this ridgeline, but if 3 players from Box go down, it's going to be tough. Around the side, though, gives away the position, and it's an easy spray down for Box Gaming to pick up their first elimination of the game.
That's a really sick just run around there from the team. Very fantastic stuff overall. VGS just crumbling, obviously not able to get either of their drum spots in this game, and they just fumble for it. And this is what the 18-team lobby does to you. You know, you try and head to a spot that you think may be free, but it's just not.
Still bleeding out VGS, down to 2. They will be taken on out. Donuts. They were contesting as well. Enigma Galaxy taking early losses. These are the 2 points that you were pointing out earlier.
Yep. Yeah, that is rough there. But USG, honestly, this is a team that really wanted to take Rozhok. You know, in all the practice games we see them play before this, they have always gone Rozhok here. Just looking at anything on my drops in terms of statistics, you know, 4 Rivals was the other team that was going to head over here. But in fact, you know, Enigma Galaxy tried to challenge out. Usually they're the Pachinki team, so maybe they dropped just slightly short. USG had to go a little bit further. And just on the way, they picked up a couple of points.
You love to see it.
Yeah.
Certainly if you're a USG fan. Falcon, 4 players in a vehicle. Not advisable. They're heading towards Yasnaya Polyana as well, which is currently occupied by Morph. On this northern rotation, they are behind the game. Morph on the western side of Yasnaya right now. They will be holding down a lot of those buildings, a lot of those compounds. Hopefully they're going to spot the Falcons' approach, right? It's a very open field. If you're looking that way, you will be seeing them. They're only in 1 vehicle as well, which means that if you're taking some pot shots, you might even be able to get a couple of eliminations there.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a real chance for it. Now, VGS, you know, broken and battered, heading up still past Damwon Kia, who've still gone for that Apps school split. It's a little tighter this time, though, and I respect that from Damwon Kia. James on the desk was talking about, you know, how really they wanted to keep things survival-based. Get towards the end of the game. It's not about huge eliminations, just consistently putting up those placement points. Now, that's going to give you a good average point over in the PMWI, but 3 days, you do need to strike out a little bit. Donuts USG getting these initial 2 points and also claiming Rozhok straight away. This is fantastic for them. And Donuts USG, they've come out on top in Japan at the moment. Even in the PUBG Mobile showdown between Korea and Japan, they were a full 10 points ahead of anyone else in that lobby right at the top. So really fantastic stuff from Donuts USG so far.
Hopefully spinning around, turning their opponents' heads whenever they can. Morph, I think they have spotted Falcons. Falcons, you can see, still with a little bit of damage on board. That might have been from earlier, probably still healing that one up. Never Alone was the player who was already knocked by the enemy team. I don't know if it was Morph, actually. I have to go back and watch that again. But Falcons did get knocked. Oh, it was Morph from up the hill. That was the first engagement that they had. So they did already do a little bit of damage. It looks like they will not leave each other alone for now. VGS down to 2 players. They've spotted back-to-back on the ridgeline. It looks like, yeah, back-to-back just want to take up position.
Yeah.
And see whatever vantage points they can try and claim.
This is fairly interesting as well because Regan's trying to head in the direction of Morph. These are 2 teams that drop in Yasnaya. Regan's with a Yasnaya South Kameshki split, but Falcon's trying to take up this position as well over in Yasnaya. So
this is fairly interesting as well because Regan's trying to head in the direction of Morph.
Okay, so hello. Strike. Okay, so hello everyone, welcome back to Delta Plays channel and we are back with our casting. जी हाँ, हिंदी कमेंट्री लेकर के आया आपके लिए PMWI PUBG मोबाइल वर्ल्ड इन्विटेशनल का हम लोग यहाँ पर वॉच पार्टी जरूर कर रहे हैं और साथ साथ में हिंदी कास्टिंग में लेकर के आया. दिस इज अनऑफिशियल, ऑफिशियल बिल्कुल भी नहीं है कास्टिंग, बट यहाँ पर देखना है कि क्या टीम इंडिया यहाँ पर एक अच्छी स्टार्ट लेते हुए नजर आएगी. 16 ओमेगा आपको स्क्रीन पर देखने मिल जाएंगे. लेट्स गो टीम इंडिया, स्पैम कर दो अपने चैनल पर. 8 की वॉचिंग आ रही है, जो भी नए हो चैनल पर सब्सक्राइब करते हुए जाए एंड टीम इंडिया का जो फ्लैग है उसको स्पैम करते हुए जाए. 9 की वॉचिंग आ रही है, ये अनऑफिशियल है, कॉपीराइट आ सकता है बट कोई बात नहीं. टीम इंडिया का अपन पहली बार टीम इंडिया जो है वो जा रही है, इंटरनेशनल खेल रही है एंड यहाँ पर हिंदी कास्टिंग ना हो, ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है. सो मैं डेल्टा प्लेस आप लोगों के लिए हिंदी कास्टिंग लेकर के आया हूँ. 12 की वो चाहेंगे आ रही है, जो भी नए चैनल पर. इफ यू एंजॉयिंग दिस कास्टिंग प्लीज मेक श्योर टू सब्सक्राइब और ऑल्सो कुछ करो या ना करो बट टीम इंडिया स्पैम कर दो. जो कमेंट सेक्शन में बात की जाए तो स्टार वर्टी की स्पोर्ट्स अभी के लिए रोटेशन लेते हुए नजर आएगी. नोवो के ब्रिज से इन लोगों ने यहाँ पर नोवो को लूट आउट किया है और आगे जाते हुए नजर आएंगे. एक्शन आपको अपनी स्क्रीन पर एक्शन में दिख जाएंगे. अभी के लिए कहीं भी फाइट जरूर नहीं हुए बिकॉज नोवो का ब्रिज पूरी तरह से खाली था. उन्होंने नोवो में लूट आउट, अच्छी खासी लूट इनको जरूर मिली होगी. उसके बाद यहाँ पर लूट आउट कर रहे फार्म के पीछे इसके एरिया में. सर्कल की बात की जाए तो एक डिसेंट सा आपको सर्कल देखने को मिला था, जरूर था. एक सेंट्रल शिफ्ट आपको देखने को मिला था, बट वहीं पर आपको देखने को मिल जाएगी कि RSG की स्क्वाड जो है वो भी आपको देखने को मिल रही है. रेगन्स गेमिंग जो है यहाँ के स्कूल के छोटे आगे के ऊपर एरिया जो कंपाउंड होते हैं वहाँ पर लूट आउट करते हुए नजर आ रही है. यहाँ पर मल्टीपल टीम्स जो है वो अब धीरे धीरे सर्कल में मूव इन करने की कोशिश करेंगे. 18 टीम का यहाँ पर मैच ऐड होने वाला है. इट्स डे 1 PUBG मोबाइल वर्ल्ड इन्विटेशनल का फर्स्ट डे है. यहाँ पर सोल की फाइट शायद बैक टू बैक गेमिंग के साथ हो सकती है बिकॉज यहाँ पर स्पॉट जरूर किया गया होगा यहाँ पर. और यहाँ पर बात की जाए तो स्विच ने बैक टू बैक गेमिंग के जो किल स्विच है उन्होंने स्पॉट किया है. कुछ शॉट एक्सचेंज करने की कोशिश भी की जा रही है सोल हेक्टर की तरह. सोल हेक्टर निकले जरूर थे यहाँ पर आगे जा करके स्पॉट करने की कोशिश की जा रही है, बट यहाँ पर गॉबलिन जो है वो काफी अच्छे पोजीशन पर आ चुके हैं और यहाँ से स्पॉट करने की कोशिश की जा रही है किल स्विच को. गॉबलिन हमेशा आपको दिख जाते हैं कि किसी न किसी रूफ टॉप में एक अच्छे एडवांटेज में रहने की कोशिश करते हैं एंड यहाँ से स्पॉट करके स्प्रे करने की कोशिश जरूर उनकी तरफ से रह सकती है. बट यहाँ पर किल स्विच ने भी भाप जरूर लिया होगा खिलाड़ी को कि यहाँ पर टीम इंडिया टीम सोल आपको देखने को मिल रही है वो गटका के जो छोटे कंपाउंड्स में रहते हैं वहां पर अभी आपको देखने मिल रहा है. बट वहीं पर बातों बात में यहाँ पे मॉर्फ गेमिंग के मॉर्फ की तरफ से भी यहाँ पर फाइट आउट निकल कर क्या सकती है. आगे के एरियाज में आपको देखने को मिल जाएगा कि जो फ्यूल जो होता है फ्यूल स्टेशन वहां पर आपको एटन ई स्पोर्ट्स के खिलाड़ी आपको अभी के लिए देखने मिल जाएंगे जो कि रेवल 87 के शिको और यहाँ पर 2-3 खिलाड़ी भी जो है वो मूवमेंट करते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं. बट यहाँ पर क्या उनको अंदाजा है कि मॉर्फ के एक खिलाड़ी जो है वो ब्रिज के इस तरफ है. कोई भी खिलाड़ी अगर ओपन में आता है तो यहाँ पर डेफिनेटली स्पॉट करके कुछ जो बुलेट्स है वो एक्सचेंज जरूर किए जाएंगे. बट यहाँ पर देखना है कि कितनी देर तक यहाँ पे मॉर्फ के जो जेजी हैं वो यहाँ पर होल्ड आउट करते हैं. बट अभी के लिए आई डोंट थिंक सो कि एटन स्पोर्ट्स को हल्का सा भी अंदाजा है कि इनके जस्ट पीछे वाले ब्रिज में मॉर्फ जो है वो स्क्वाड आ चुकी है. यहाँ पर 14 की वॉचिंग आ रही है. टीम इंडिया स्पैम कर दो. अभी तक टीम इंडिया के झंडे कहाँ है यार, लहरा दो, स्पैम करते जाओ कमेंट सेक्शन में. टीम इंडिया का जो झंडा है उसको लहराते हुए जाओ और वहां पे स्पैम करते हुए जाओ. 13 की वॉचिंग आ रही है हमारे इस बीच में एंड लेट्स गो कि क्या PMWI में स्टार्टिंग कैसे रहने वाली है. यहाँ पर बात की जाए तो डेल्टा प्लेस के चैनल पर आपको हिंदी की कास्टिंग देखने को मिलेगी. यहाँ पर इट्स डे 1 ऑफ हिंदी कास्टिंग एंड यहाँ पर स्पॉट करने की कोशिश की. यस, कुछ स्टार्टअप के स्कारल के शॉट एक्सचेंज किए जरूर जा रहे हैं. अब जाकर के फाइनली पोजीशन जो है वो रिवील्ड हो जाएगी. बट यहाँ पर आप देखो कि BGMI जो मतलब इंडिया सर्वर में जितने भी टूर्नामेंट्स होते हैं BGIS हो गए BMC हो गए ये सारे इसका गेम स्टाइल और यहाँ की गेम स्टाइल बहुत अलग है बिकॉज यहाँ पर प्लेयर जो है वो डेफिनेटली बहुत ही ज़्यादा जो अर्ली फाइट्स उसमें इंगेज करता है. ऐसा नहीं कि कोई भी टीम जो है वो आपको किसी कंपाउंड में होल्ड करते हुए नजर आएंगी. बट यहाँ पर ऐसी बात की जाए तो जो भी टीम्स हैं वो आपको दिख ज़रूर जाते हैं कि स्पॉट करने की कोशिश करते हैं, शॉट भी एक्सचेंज किए जाते हैं एंड यहाँ पर मल्टीपल टीम्स जो है वो फाइट में अर्ली ऑन फाइट्स में इंगेज करती ज़रूर है. बट यहाँ पर आपने बात किया कि जैसे शुरू में ही देखने को मिला कि 2 अर्ली फाइट्स आपको देखने मिले जिसमें से फैल्कन के खिलाड़ी को भी स्पॉट करके टेक डाउन किया भी गया था. एंड यहाँ पर टीम सोल अभी के लिए थोड़ी देर के लिए देखने को जरूर मिली थी कि वो वाटर कंपाउंड वाटर जो सिटी है वाटर सिटीज़ में कुछ कंपाउंड्स में अभी के लिए होल्ड ज़रूर की है. रोटेशन जो है वो थोड़ी सी टीम सोल की अभी के लिए डिफरेंट है. बट लेट्स गो लेट्स सी कि क्या यहाँ पर किस तरह से बाकी आगे की उनकी रोटेशन रहती है देखने को मिलेगा। बट यहाँ पर स्क्रीन पे आपको देखने मिल जाएगा 4 राइवल्स जहाँ पर जा रहे हैं, वहाँ पर एक और खिलाड़ी दूसरी टीम से आपको देखने को मिल रही है। यहाँ पर इन दोनों की क्लैशेस शायद हो सकती है एंड वी कैन सी अ डिफरेंट फाइट अगेन। बॉक्स गेमिंग की बात की जाए तो इनके खाते में अर्ली में 2 फिनिश पॉइंट्स इनके खाते में ज़रूर आया, बिकॉज शुरू में ही इन्होंने इनकी फाइट हुई थी पैनकेक के एरियाज में और वहाँ पर उन्होंने स्पॉट किया भी था कुछ खिलाड़ी को, स्पॉट करके खत्म करने की कोशिश भी की थी, 2 खिलाड़ी को स्पॉट किया। बट यहाँ पर 4 राइवल्स भारी मुसीबत में, बिकॉज इनके खिलाड़ी को स्पॉट करके तुरंत ही नॉक एंड फिनिश ऑफ करते हुए आपको नजर आएंगे। तो यहाँ पर टीजीबी की स्क्वाड जो ड्राई रन में विनर विनर चिकन डिनर लेकर के गई थी, इनकी फाइट हो जरूर चुकी है। बट अब यहाँ पर देखना है कि क्या जो भी फाइट रहने वाली है वो किस तरह से इनिशिएट करके आएगी। वहाँ पर टीजीबी की स्क्वाड पूरी तरह से स्पॉट जरूर कर रखा है उन्होंने खिलाड़ियों को। देखना है कि क्या यहाँ पर फाइट लेने के लिए जाएगी। यहाँ पर 4 राइवल्स फॉल बैक करते हुए, बट यहाँ से फॉल बैक करना आसान नहीं रहने वाला, बिकॉज बहुत ही आगे ऑलरेडी आ चुके हैं। अब यहाँ से फॉल बैक करने का मतलब है कि आपको पीठ पर गोलियां पड़ेंगी एंड दैट विल बी अ वेरी टफ सिचुएशन। बट वहाँ पे मॉर्फ गेमिंग भी थोड़ी सी प्रॉक्सिमिटी में आपको देखने मिल रही है। क्या यहाँ पे मॉर्फ गेमिंग भी इस मौके का फायदा उठा करके यहाँ पर ज्वाइन करना चाहेंगी या फिर नहीं। बट यहाँ पर लेट्स गो। बात की जाए तो एक और खिलाड़ी को स्पॉट किया गया टीजीबी की तरफ से, जंपर जो आपको देखने मिल जाएंगे, वो शॉर्ट एक्सचेंज किया भी था, डैमेज भी बहुत ज्यादा अपोनेंट पर लेंगे, बट अभी के लिए बचते हुए नजर आएंगे। यहाँ पर टीजीबी की स्क्वाड की फाइट हो चुकी है, मॉली आया है, मॉली कनेक्शन भी बनाएगा थोड़े से जो है 4 राइवल के एक और खिलाड़ी को, जंपर को भी स्पॉट किया, यहाँ पर खत्म किया जाएगा। जंपर के आखिरी खिलाड़ी बचते हुए आपको नजर आएंगे। क्या जंपर पहले टीम होंगी जो यहां से बाहर जाते हुए आपको नजर आ सकती है। बट लेट्स गो, लेट्स सी कि क्या यहां पर सिनारियो रहने वाला, बिकॉज अपने टीम से अकेले नहीं। ओके, 2 खिलाड़ी अभी भी बचे हुए, जंपर जो थे वो भी बचे हुए और इनके साथ एक और खिलाड़ी जो बचे हुए हैं। दोनों खिलाड़ी जो हैं अभी के लिए लूट जरूर कर रहे थे, बट उनको पता नहीं था कि सिनारियो जो थे वो थोड़ी सी इंटेंस होते हुए आपको नजर आई। एंड यहाँ पर एक अलग तरीके से 16 अक्षर जो होंगे वहां पर निगमा के लॉर्ड और 2 फिनिश पॉइंट्स इनके खाते में जाते हुए, निगमा के लिए स्पॉट भी किया गया और खत्म भी किया गया। यहां पर सोल की जो है वो फाइट चलती हुई आपको नजर आई। यहां पर सोल के खाते में देखना है कि कितने किल पॉइंट जाते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं, बिकॉज यहां पर सोल ने इनिशियली में 2 खिलाड़ी को स्पॉट किया भी है, खत्म भी किया। अक्षत के खाते में वो किल जाता हुआ आपको नजर आएगा। बट यहां पर देखना है कि क्या अक्षत जो थे यहाँ पर निगमा गैलेक्सी के साथ इनकी फाइट चली जरूर है, बट यहां पर देखना है कि निगमा गैलेक्सी के साथ जो फाइट चली, स्टारवर्ड्स स्पोर्ट भी यहाँ पर आपको देखने मिल जाएगा। जो आपको स्काई देखने को मिल रहे हैं वो यहाँ पर स्पॉट करने की कोशिश करी, खिलाड़ी को उन्होंने स्पॉट किया भी है, टेक डाउन भी किया है। बट देखना है कि क्या किल को सिक्योर करने में कामयाब रहेंगे या फिर नहीं। लेट्स गो, लेट्स गो। आई थिंक कि कुछ इश्यूज हो रहा है यार। बंद करना पड़ेगा, आई थिंक बंद करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज कॉपीराइट का इशू हो सकता है। आई थिंक कि बंद करना पड़ेगा, बंद करना पड़ेगा। रुको मैं बंद ही कर देता हूँ यार। बंद ही कर देता हूँ यार। चलो आई थिंक आई विल नीड टू क्लोज अ स्ट्रीम. यहाँ पर शायद कुछ इश्यूज हो रहा है यार. आई मीन इशू ऐसा हो रहा है कि यहाँ पर कॉपीराइट का कुछ कॉपीराइट का इश्यूज हो सकता है. सो आई विल बी क्लोजिंग द स्ट्रीम. आई विल बी क्लोजिंग द स्ट्रीम बिकॉज शायद थोड़ा सा कुछ इशू हो सकता है कॉपीराइट का. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग इन गाइस.